I spent 30 days trying to make my first dollar on YouTube without AdSense as a newbie with less than 160 subscribers. And let's just say there were wins, fails, some really awkward moments, and whatever goes on in between. But the question is, did I make my first dollar, or did I just embarrass myself for a whole month on YouTube in public? Hey, I'm Christy, and if you've ever felt too small, too stuck, too late, I've made this space just for you. Let's get into it. So here's the deal. After over a year and a half of procrastination, of fear, of self-doubt, I finally managed to create my first digital product. And I priced it at $1 with no email list, no website, no fancy schmancy funnels. Just me, Canva, YouTube, and Mr. Stan Store. So I priced my first product for only $1. Here's the thing. I was doing the 30-day challenge to make your first dollar on YouTube without AdSense. And I thought it'd be fitting to price my product for $1 so that I'll make it an easy win for me. Because I wanted to win the challenge, right? I don't want to look like a loser. Another reason for pricing it so low is the fact that it was my first product that I'm creating and putting out there. So it's already hard enough. We have a lot of self-doubt and fears, and we're second-guessing ourselves. What if our product's not good? What if I don't even sell at all? So pricing it at $1 takes off that pressure of having your first product out there and putting it out for sale, because you're just making it so much easier for people to buy when it's priced at such a low price, even if they don't know you or trust you too well yet. Now, how did my product do? Did I sell? Did I not? Did it flop? Let's get into it. I'm going to start off by talking about my wins. My first humongous win is the fact that I actually finally created my product and allowed myself to put it out there in spite of self-doubt, in spite of the hesitation, in spite of everything. I did it and I put it out there. That alone felt like a mountain moved. It was a huge weight off my shoulders. My second win is the fact that I made my first true sale on my second day after I published the product. And it happened over a live while I was talking about my product on a live. Now, why did I say my first true sale? Because I had a sale before that. It was my husband, but I had asked him to buy it just so that I can see what the client is going to receive on their end once they actually purchase my product. So I'm not really counting this as a sale. You see, my third win is up here. The fact that I actually finally created and published my first product and put it out there for the public, whoever, to see and to potentially purchase is huge. You see, I allowed myself to do that in spite of my perfectionist self. And that's a humongous win. Now, of course, my journey was not just filled with wins, right? You cannot win without failing first or even along the way. So let's discuss some of the failures that I went through. I created my first product to solve a specific problem to a particular person. But here's where I failed. I did not research that idea. I didn't validate my idea before creating the product. I didn't check if people even wanted to solve that problem, even though I knew that I should have done that. However, it was kind of done purposely. Let me tell you why. Because I love doing research. But I also drown in research. When I start, I don't know where to draw the line, when to stop, when have I had enough research, even though I get to a point where I feel like I'm not learning anything new anymore. The information out there is just repetitive, but it's hard for me to stop because I keep saying, maybe there's more info out there. Maybe I'm still missing something. Maybe I can learn this particular thing a little deeper. So as much as I love doing research, I also hate doing research. And therefore, that is why I didn't really research my idea. I just based it on my own struggles, because I struggled for so long with this. I didn't know. Every time I sat down to create my first digital product, I would freeze because I wouldn't know what to create my product on. And based on that, I created my first product, assuming that everyone else is going to have this issue as a beginner. So I allowed myself to go ahead and create it based on my pain, because I didn't want to waste another week or two or Lord knows how long on research, because I knew if I was going to allow myself to start with the research, I'm going to get so overwhelmed and not do it. And I did not want to do that. So that was my biggest failure. However, it was a calculated failure, let's just say. My second fail was actually, you guessed it, marketing, sales. You see, creating the product itself is not the hard part. It's actually the easy part once you know what you want to create. The hard part is marketing it. The hard part is talking about it over and over again in your content, bringing it up in a natural way. as a part of the conversation without sounding salesy or pushy or icky, because I myself hate sales and I'm not the best at marketing or at sales. So that was the hardest part for me, especially when I first started talking about it. Maybe not the first couple of times. I was still filled with excitement and adrenaline, but then as time went by, it was getting awkward because I felt like I was just repeating myself, and I was kind of getting tired of hearing myself bringing up my product. Even though I was bringing it up as a part of the conversation, I was using it as an example when I was trying to teach about how to create your digital product, but it still felt awkward for me. But here's the thing. If we don't market our products or services, then we can't sell. People will not know. No one is going to buy your product if they don't know it exists. It's not just enough for people to know your product exists. They need to know what your product is about and what does it do for them. Which brings me to the lessons that I learned from this 30-day challenge. Lesson number 1, making the product is the easy part. Selling it is not so much. Marketing requires skill, requires strategy, requires patience, requires self-confidence, requires that you believe so much in your product enough to market it without sounding silly and fake. Because a lot of times people can see through that when we're sounding fake or when we're trying to force ourselves to talk about something. Lesson number 2, YouTube can actually make you money if you get that momentum, right? If you know how to reach your audience. However, it takes time, perseverance. Of course, consistency goes without saying, but it also, more than anything else, takes detachment. You need to be detached from the results. Let me explain a little bit. When you create a product, especially your first product, it almost feels like your firstborn child. So you're very attached to it. You feel like you've accomplished so much, and you have. You feel like you've done something you've never done before, because you have. And that creates a special attachment. We always have special feelings for something that we do the first time. Do you get attached to your products as well, or to your results? When you create something or when you're selling something, do you get emotional when you don't sell? That's when you have to remind yourself to not get attached to the results, but rather focus on the journey, focus on the process, focus on learning more and improving yourself more. Always look forward, reminding yourself that success takes time. It doesn't happen overnight, and that you need to fail maybe multiple times before you can succeed. And you need to pivot when needed. You need to modify. You need to improve your skills. Lesson number 3, it is actually possible to build momentum on YouTube, even if you don't have a lot of subscribers, even if you're not even gaining a lot of traction, as long as you reach your target audience or those people that actually want to watch your content or need what you're selling. You see, I made 6 sales in total. That's counting my husband's sale. Without it, it'd be 5 sales. And here's the breakdown. The first one was my husband. The second one was the person that bought my product while watching my live. The third and the fourth sales were my brother and his wife. One day I was having a conversation with my sister-in-law. She was asking me about YouTube. She knows because she does social media as well. And I told her that I was so excited. I created my first digital product. She was curious. She said, give me the link. I said she wanted to check it out, and then she went ahead and bought it, and she told my brother, and my brother bought it too. I guess they wanted to support me, right? Actually, correction, I made 6 sales without my husband's purchase. So after my brother and his wife bought it, 2 more people bought it after that, and they were just random from my subscribers. Or I even had my last sale with someone who told me in the comments that they just subscribed and then they bought my product. So that's a huge win. Here's the big thing. Throughout my 30-day challenge, I was creating videos to teach how to create your first digital product from scratch using Canva for free. And these videos got more traction than my average and got me more subscribers than my average, especially one in particular where I was showing how to create the digital product from scratch in Canva. So there's another huge win for me. And so the lesson here, you can win in so many different ways other than monetary. And it's not about the amount of people that purchased your product. It's more about the fact that there were actually people who trusted you enough to purchase your product. And that's the key. When we're doing this, when we want to sell our digital products or anything digital, anything online really, where you cannot meet the person face to face or even sometimes can't even get to talk to the person. Some people would just go and purchase your product without even having a conversation with you, especially lower price products. You need to gain the person's trust first. The people or the person must at least like you, like your content, like your, I don't know, body language, like your charm or the way you present yourself. And then they must trust you. Now, of course, selling a $1 product is way different than selling a $1,000 or a $500 product, or even a $40, a $50, or a $100 product. But this is practice. That's where you start. You start at the bottom. You don't start at the top or even in the middle. Everyone's journey is different, and we all start at different places in our journey. So if you start as a beginner, with no background, with not much prior knowledge or no experience creating or selling your own digital products, you got to start at the bottom. You don't have to necessarily start with a $1 product. That was my choice and I have my reasons for that. But you have to understand that you got to start low, and you have to have patience and have a vision where you can see the future, or at least the near future. And you have to understand that it's not going to happen overnight, and you need to be persistent, and you have to mention your product over and over again, as long as you can manage to put it in a way that is a part of the conversation so that it doesn't feel forced and icky. And here's another thing I want to mention. Now, I'm a terrible salesperson and I'm not the best at marketing. However, when I believe in something, I'm able to talk about it forever without even exaggerating or lying. I hate that. I'm against that. I don't like fluffing things. But when I truly believe in something, I'll talk about it. So I guess this is a strength for me. What I'm trying to say here is, when you want to create a product, even if it's just your first product, even if it's simple, make sure that you create a product that you're going to fall in love with. Not just because you created it, but because there's value in it. Make sure that you can see the value in your product objectively, not just because you created it, not because you have the emotional attachment to it. Try to be objective. You want to make sure that it's as valuable as it can be at your point of journey, so that you can talk about it with pride, so that you can talk about it with confidence and with passion. That's the key. At least for me, that was the key, because I hate sales. So because I have a product that I believe in, that I created with all I have, if you want, then I'm going to be able to present it to people because I believe in it. I'm not going to feel like ashamed or embarrassed. I'm still going to feel uncomfortable because it's not me and it takes practice. Leave a comment. Let me know. Have you promoted products before? And tell me, have you promoted products that you believe in so much and others that not so much? Or at the time you thought you believed in them, but then later you realized you didn't? Let me know about your experiences. Let me know if you're a good salesperson, if you can, because there are some people who can sell anything. They're just good at it. They're just good at it by nature, and they've developed the skills over the years. Now I want to talk about strategy. You see, when I started my 30-day challenge, I'm not going to tell you that I had a long-term plan. No, but I did know that product was just going to be like a stepping stool, a step inside the universe of digital products. I knew it wasn't going to be the best because, like I said, I created it quickly and I created it without doing any research, but I did the best that I could at that point because I wanted to just put myself out there. So it was also a learning process for me. And every product you create is going to be a learning process for you, in the hopes that you improve. Every time you're improving, right? Somewhere maybe about 2 weeks or 3 weeks into my 30-day challenge, I started feeling discouraged. I felt like I lost the momentum. I felt like I'm not selling. I even created 2 free checklists, the platforms or the apps that you need when you want to do digital marketing as a beginner. My other freebie was all the tips that you need to market your digital product in a productive way. But even those, I only got 2 people to download them, and those were freebies. Only 2 people to download them. So that was a huge disappointment. But I have to admit, I didn't talk about these 2 freebies enough. Maybe I talked to them about them in a few videos, but I didn't talk about them enough. And because I'm new at this whole thing, I'm still a little hesitant, but I'm giving it all I can, because I've done this in the past where I was selling courses, but they were courses that I didn't create. So I feel like no matter how much you understand a course, no matter how many times you go over it, you didn't create it, so you are never going to know the ins and outs of it. You're not going to know why this person taught that particular thing in that course because you don't know their line of thinking. You didn't create it. You don't know. So because of that, when you create your own product, you understand it inside and out way differently than you'd understand someone else's product. And because of that, marketing your own products should be easier than marketing someone else's product. Along the line, I lost my confidence and I lost the motivation, and I stopped thinking of my next products. Then I had to remind myself that I did actually make 6 sales, even though 2 of them were my family, but I didn't ask them to buy. I was just talking about the product casually with my sister-in-law. And I did make other sales too, a few, but hey, it's a great start with under 200 subscribers on my YouTube channel. And I'm getting views generally in the double digits with a few exceptions. So I think that's pretty good for such a tiny, tiny channel as mine. When I started thinking this way, I had to kind of slap myself on the face and remind myself that this process takes time, takes patience, takes perseverance, takes dedication, takes putting yourself out there continuously, even if no one is clapping, even if not many are viewing, even if you don't see the results. And that's where detaching myself from the results emotionally comes in. And that's when I decided to continue with my journey. And I came up with my next product idea. I just have the outline for it right now. I haven't delved into it in depth yet because I have other things going on in my life too at the same time. And I'm trying so hard not to fall for the shiny object syndrome, which I'm not. But, sometimes when it rains, it pours. I'm still trying to give my best for this YouTube channel and trying to concentrate on my next product. But I don't want to rush this product out like I did with my first product, because now I'm on step 2 of my journey, not step 1 anymore. So did I make my first dollar without AdSense on YouTube? Absolutely. And by now you know that. I actually made 6, which could actually be a 6-figure income if you add enough zeros, right? So listen, if you've been sitting on an idea for months or even years, just start. Push your fear aside, stop overthinking, and start, even if it's messy, even if it's not perfect. And it never will be perfect. Nothing is perfect on this earth. Challenge yourself, get out of your comfort zone, start messy, and you learn as you go along, as long as you make it a point to learn and not repeat the same mistakes every single time, because you can never make your first or second or third sale if you don't even start. You can never succeed if you don't even start. You can't fail neither, of course. But who are we kidding? You're failing already. If you want to do something so bad, but you're not taking that first step, you're failing. So hey, you're failing anyway. Why not try? Why not try and start something? And if you fail, what's the difference? You're already failing. So I'm still going to link my first digital product that's still priced at $1 in the comments, in the pinned comment, and in the description, in case someone is curious and they feel like they want to purchase it. Can go ahead and click on that link and purchase it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.